Welcome to another NFR tier list, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a tier list for the best and worst diss tracks. We have 34 of the most iconic diss tracks ever, and we're going to rank them based on our scale from bad to perfect. And if you guys are watching this after May 30th, you guys will be able to access our top 10 diss tracks of all time on our NFR Plus channel, which is going to be linked in the pinned comments, so you guys could access that if you're watching it after that date. But let's get into this, and we have a lot of songs to go through, very iconic songs, and the first set of songs is all going to be within the Drake and Kendrick Lamar battle because it's the hottest battle that we've had in the longest time. But let's get started off with Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. What are you feeling?
Perfect. I think it's going in the perfect category. How could you put it anywhere else? Realistically, what would weigh it down? You got a #1 song, it beat streaming records, it ended the battle, and it's kind of like the most iconic song out of everything that's kind of happened at this point. It's probably going to be some like Song of the Summer for 2024 as well. So what else are you going to put in front of it, if you're being honest?
It's Kendrick Lamar beating Drake at his own game. Like, what a fucking power play that was. A club banger. The bars are heavy. Like, forget that it's a bop and that it has that hyphy sound. Like, no, like, this is actually like a bop and it's an anthem for the whole West Coast. And it's the performance of a lifetime. When he goes into like it's all eyes on me and I'ma send it up to Pac, like that flow is one of my favorites from Kendrick that I've heard in recent time. I think it's a perfect song, and it ended the greatest rap battle of all time. What a victory lap. Perfect song to start off a tier list.
Did you think I was going to go anywhere else with it?
I'm like, he might go amazing, but
No,
I'm happy
perfect.
that we're on the same page. But next up, we have The Hard Part 6 by Drake.
This is the last song that we got out of the entire feud. And I was kind of disappointed that it ended off on this track.
I wish it never came out.
I wish it never came out. I wish it would have stayed in the tuck. And to be honest with you, the only thing that's making me not put this in the bad category is because of the production and the rapping performance itself. Like the flow. Like you're getting like this classic, I would say, lemon pepper freestyle sort of Drake, timestamp sort of Drizzy. The production is phenomenal. But when you get into the content matter itself, there's really nothing going on. So I wanted to go bad with it, but I could see why maybe we could go mid with it.
Yeah, I think production-wise, too, Coleman and Boy Wonder did a good job in terms of the sample selection, the swirling keys. I just wish that beat would have been put to better use. And then when you look at, like, Drake, it felt like more of a press release and a miscalculated one at that. Him denying the PDF file allegations, making fun of Kendrick's trauma, and by extension, anyone that's been a victim of that kind of abuse. It kind of left a sour taste in your mouth. But like you said, performance was pretty good. So was the beat. So mid's a fair rating. I
Mid
think.
is a fair rating.
Next up, though, we have Meet the Grahams by Kendrick Lamar. This song is so impressive because of the concept. Like, this is literally, Kendrick speaking directly to the family members of his enemy, and him psychoanalyzing Drake on some Hannibal Lecter, Patrick Bateman type shit.
Absolutely. And obviously there's the whole conversation of Drake's child, which is obviously disapproved. So now that there's not been anything on that fact, has it kind of changed for you for the way that you've seen it? Or are you kind of just looking at the record as a whole and looking at it as a concept record and you're like, well, that's a whole different conversation? Or,
well, even if you want to discredit that verse, there's still 3 other fantastic verses to go through. I'm feeling an amazing rating with this one, to be honest.
I will go
with
amazing
you.
as well. Absolutely.
And I think maybe because we're not sure about the daughter and it doesn't seem to be true, maybe that does knock off a couple of points.
But for how scary it was and like how menacing it is and the power play of the song.
Alchemist beat.
Yeah, the Alchemist sample flip is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the sinister keys, just
incredible.
Untouchable. But next up, Family Matters by Drake. This is where we might disagree. I
think it's an amazing song. I think it is an amazing song for what it is, but as a diss record,
great.
I'd probably go great with it.
I
think Family Matters is a great song. Not more than that, to be honest with you. I feel like the writing was a bit lackluster. There was quotables within it, but again, I just feel like it was probably like a push-ups on steroids, to be quite honest with you, where you got similar content matter, you got a bit of filler lines in there. Yes, you do get 3 different beat switches, and you're getting high-tempo Drizzy flows that everyone loves, but to be honest with you, I would not put this in front of Meet the Grahams or even on the same level.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I think that, like, my biggest issue, too, was that, like, this was supposed to be his nuke, but it felt like more of a firecracker just because when he did reveal that information, it didn't sound like he was that sure of it. Like, I heard the kid might be Dave Freeze and whatnot. But yeah, the flow he uses on that last verse is sensational. And I wish that he fully dedicated the song to Kendrick, but a lot of clever punches about Let That Shorty Breathe, and the whole Rich Baby Daddy flip was really well done. Ultimately, yeah, great song. But next up, Euphoria by Kendrick Lamar. This was the most controversial portion of our coverage in the battle, just because we weren't too in love with it when it first came out. And I think now when I look back on it, I do have to give it credit for being as prophetic as it was, in the sense that, like, he ended up predicting a lot with that record, in terms of him spinning the block back to back, in terms of him predicting Drake's angles that he would take later on with Family Matters. It aged well in that sense. I do feel like there was a lot of recycling certain lines that have been used before and certain angles.
I'd still go with a great rating, though.
I would go with a great rating for sure.
I think it's a great song. Absolutely. It's on the same level as Family Matters for me, but let's keep going on with this. Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. All right, so if it wasn't for Not Like Us, do you think that this would have probably still been Song of the Summer? Because it probably took over everyone, to be quite honest with you. Because before that, it was all like that.
Yeah.
But after Not Like Us dropped, I feel like it probably took a step down in people's rotations, or at least like in the mainstream appeal, and everyone flocked over to Not Like Us. So do you still feel the same about it? Do you still feel like it's an amazing record?
Yeah, this is just like an instant classic, I think. It's a crazy hybrid of like this ATL trap club banger while also being this declaration of war from Kendrick. And yeah, it felt like another Control verse. It put the whole game on red alert, and the verse is still incredible. I feel like it was just such an exciting moment for the genre.
Amazing.
Amazing song. I feel like
Absolutely.
it checks all the boxes. But next up, Push-Ups by Drake.
So this is kind of what started it all officially, right? Because we got the Like That verse, but this was one of the first official tracks to be released, or at least leaked in this instance, and it kind of opened up a whole can of worms. You guys could run with that in the comment sections, and it kind of put the whole industry on its back, and people were asking for this track. As a whole, though, I feel like it's aged pretty well. Like, it's a pretty good song. I don't know if I would go in the great category with it, but I feel like it's pretty good. You feel like it's a good category?
I mean,
I would go good with it. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like it's below Euphoria and it's below Family Matters. That's for sure.
I feel like it's definitely below the two of those, but I also still feel like it's a great song because everything that Drake said kind of landed. Like, he was spitting a lot of facts just about him being the hit maker that a lot of these guys that were going at him are, depending on the idea that, like, Kendrick sort of going to go into that angle of him being a pop star by calling him Michael Jackson, but at the same time, Kendrick's also done some pop features. So, like, I feel like a lot of the shots and the jabs that he sent out were based in facts, and I got to give a lot of merit. But
I just don't feel like it's on the same level as Euphoria or Family Matters for this tier list.
It's not on the same level, but it's still a great song to me.
I go good with it.
Fine, we can go good with it.
It's a good song, though.
Next up, we have 7 Minute Drill by J. Cole. And I got to be honest, I really liked this song when it first dropped. I feel like I was probably a prisoner of the moment within it, because I even went as far as to say that J. Cole was one up. I think I was just excited that, like, he engaged with Kendrick and that it took so long for someone to do that. But now looking back on it, I mean, sure, you have some cool bars and references to old diss tracks, like Your Arms Are Too Short to Box with the God, and some Takeover flips, but ultimately, the first beat is really not good. J. Cole doesn't really sound too confident in his tone. I do like the second half still, though.
The problem with the song itself is that it was retracted. That's the big problem. Like,
yeah, I know.
Regardless of the cool quotables or maybe some of the rap lines and the homage that he's paying, you know, even the body bag sort of references and the zip ups and the conductor beat on the second half. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good song, but the fact that he retracted the statement and said that this is not truthful from himself, I do feel like this is a bad diss, and I feel like he probably feels the same way. I'd put 7 Minute Drill in the bad category.
Yeah, especially when your main angle is like going at Kendrick Lamar's catalog of all people.
Diss. But he even said, he's like, you know, it's whack. Get it off of streaming services. They definitely, they knew what was going on with it. I'd put it in the bad category. Personally.
I would give it a mid as a song, but because he retracted it, it is an automatic L, and I feel like he did sound hesitant while dissing. Like, it didn't sound like he wanted to be in the booth while making the song. So we can go bad again. We can go bad with this one. But next up, we have Ether by Nas. Came out in 2001. This is a perfect diss track. A lot of people view it as being the greatest diss track of all time. This fulfilled the arc of Nas's comeback just because he was viewed in a different light with the last two albums that he had out before Slamatic and I Am.
Yeah, so it was a tough time for Nas, but at the same time, it was a great redemption story, like you were saying, because Jay-Z was on top of the world, and obviously Takeover drops before this, and people were waiting on a response from Nas, and 9 months later, you end up getting Ether. And we've spoken to friends that grew up in New York and that heard this track, and this was inescapable. This was legitimately one of the biggest songs of that year. People were raving about it because Nas just absolutely dissects Jay-Z, talking about how he sold his soul for fame and how his art is not in the his heart is not in the artistry anymore. How he's a phony and how
he's a fraud.
Absolutely, like it completely dismantles Jay-Z, and it's so convincing from a writing standpoint. And you guys could obviously go more and more into the writing, but I think this is a perfect diss track. It has to go in the perfect level.
I mean, yeah, bro. Ether turned into a fucking verb after this song dropped, where it's like so and so ethered so and so. Like not only in hip hop, but like in politics and a bunch of other like areas and fields. This became a verb, so that's impact on a whole nother level. Definitely a perfect diss song, and he dropped it on Jay-Z's fucking birthday, which is just hilarious to me.
Absolutely.
But next up, we have Takeover by Jay-Z. And you know what? I have to give this a Takeover. It has a much better beat than Ether. Like the 5-to-1 door sample, the electric guitar riffs, the percussion, the vocal shouts. It just made it so tough in sound.
Because in the context of the battle, obviously it loses to Ether, right? But a lot of people do include this in their top 10 diss songs of all time because of how strong it is.
As it should be.
Absolutely.
This is the best diss track to be on the losing side of a battle, in my opinion.
It was just, it was victim to Ether. There was nothing you could do after that. If Takeover was going to lose, it was going to lose to something like Ether. And after that, because we're going to go on to another song right after it, there was no responding to Ether. But I still do think it's an amazing track. I would go to an amazing score.
I think it's amazing. And yeah, the only reason why I wouldn't put it to perfect is because it did end up leading to his downfall with certain lines like, what are you trying to acknowledge? Like, that wasn't a clever line. But a lot of the digs at like Prodigy, for example, with the whole ballerina thing, that worked out in his favor. But ultimately, even
amazing.
Like
the one hot line, like every 10 years sort of thing, one hot album, that doesn't necessarily stick either because It Was Written that came right after Illmatic. So amazing it is, but let's go on to Super Ugly, all right? So this was the track I was referencing. This comes out right after Ether, and this song got a lot of flack because Jay-Z took the approach of, well, I had sexual intercourse with your baby mama. And a lot of people felt that it was disgusting, especially the whole reference to him leaving the condom on the baby seat. That was debunked too. There was really nothing going on with the track itself. And what's crazy is that I was going through the comment sections of this YouTube video and people were trying to defend this track. And
but it's not a horrible song.
It's not
I don't want to get it twisted.
It's not a horrible song, but still, it's nowhere near an Ether or Takeover level.
It's not.
Like, this feels like the hard part 6 for Jay-Z almost.
I don't know if it's that bad.
It feels like the hard part 6 for Jay-Z.
I will say this. He fucked up by rapping over the Got Yourself a Gun beat, which was on Stillmatic, just because it proved Nas's point that, like, Jay-Z has been influenced and has taken pieces of Nas's music in the past. But that being said, yes, like you said, it was distasteful. It wasn't even accurate in many parts, but there were some hard-hitting bars. I want to give it a good rating. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, it's not a good
There's some
song.
dope bars.
I put it in the mid-level, bro.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe we can go mid.
It got swatted down like a fly. It did nothing.
And he ended up apologizing for putting it out. Like, we'll go mid.
That's not a good diss.
We'll go mid.
No fucking way. That's going into the mid category. All right, Killshot by Eminem. You know what's interesting? You and I were going through a lot of different Eminem diss songs, and we were asking the question officially in rap, right? Because there was a couple of different people that tried to go after M in the past, but his most iconic quote-unquote diss songs are towards opponents that are not necessarily even formidable, to be quite honest with you. When you look at Benzino, Mariah Carey, and in this situation, MGK.
Insane Clown Posse, it's Ja Rule.
You get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not necessarily like the craziest opponents, but he still dismantled them all, which is not necessarily that bad. I just think that, like, Killshot is a bit overhyped.
It is.
I go back
he still
to
eviscerated MGK, but it wouldn't have taken much to do so at the end of the day.
And I think he knows that as well. Like, he's kind of fucking around in the song itself. The whole Diddy popping pills sort of thing as well. We'll see how that ages. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at the song itself and it's great. I think it's a great diss song. I don't think it's above amazing. I don't think it's imperfect. No fucking way. I think it's great.
There's some fire angles, like the whole, like, I had to give you a career to destroy it, and like how he's outselling him while he's 45, like flipping the whole thing about like MGK calling him like a grandfather trying to rap.
Yeah, your beard is weird.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, ultimately, I think great, right? You want to go great rating?
Great rating, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, how about Rap Devil by MGK? You know, people actually give this song some credit.
A lot of people do.
You know, people give. You know what? It's not that bad. It's not a bad song.
I have to give him credit for like seizing the opportunity, knowing that he'd probably get demolished within the battle.
There was a bit of videos of him popping champagne right after he dropped
Yeah,
this.
I mean, yeah, it is a
well,
moment
after
to
he got
celebrate.
name dropped.
But
the Eminem,
this just felt like he shot Eminem with like a Nerf bullet. Like that's what it felt like listening to this song. Like there was nothing scathing. There was nothing that like really made you look at Eminem a bit differently.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm taller than you. I'll beat you up in real life.
Yeah.
Your beard is weird." It's a mid song.
It's a super mid song.
It's definitely in the mid category.
I think like. I mean, bro, like there was nothing really going from even like the whack auto crooning he put in towards the end, like
No.
very
Beat was
underwhelming.
fire though. Beat was cool.
Yeah. Next up though, we have Bigfoot by Nicki Minaj. So this was a response to Megan Thee Stallion's song "Hiss," and it's a 4-minute dedicated diss track. It gets super ugly. Nicki makes claims about all the men that Meg supposedly has slept with, and a lot of the lines are stuff like she went to party with the baby while rubbing on Tori's toupee. I guess she needed money bags from them Trey songs. And she has lines like, "Is it my fault I got good vagina?" on here. You get some vagina bars.
Nice.
But ultimately, I just feel like even though she's trying to bring out a bunch of different vocal tones, she's bringing out the Roman voice.
It feels
just
forced.
felt so flat, bro.
Yeah, and it felt forced as
Oh
a
my
diss song
goodness,
itself.
that's horrible.
Yeah, the angles are a bit weird. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess Nicki fans enjoy it. Well, they're gonna enjoy anything she puts out, like any other fan base. But I went mid with this rating.
I know this is a bad one. We have to go bad
You
with
think
this
you're going
one.
bad with this
Bro,
one?
like even her bringing up Meg's late mother, like it served no purpose in the context of the battle. Super distasteful. I'm not sure what she thought she accomplished with this one. I really don't know. I think it's a bad diss track.
All right,
So we're
let's
gonna
keep
put
going
it
on
there.
with this. Hit
Next
'em
up. No, before that we have Nail in the Coffin by
Okay,
Eminem.
let's do Nail in the Coffin.
Let's
My
do
bad.
Nail in the Coffin. This was Eminem's response to Benzino's tracks "I Don't Wanna" and "Pull Your Skirt Up," and it is viewed as a knockout punch within this battle. I mean, again, you're going up against Benzino.
The owner of the source.
Yeah.
It's like Eminem rap battling one of us.
You think you can take Eminem in a battle?
Why would I ever do that? What the fuck was Benzino thinking? Oh shit!
I mean, listen, bro. It
Yeah,
brought,
but it kind of just
brought buzz around his name. I mean,
he did what, yeah, for sure. But he's always gonna be known for that.
and
Obviously, like he's a legend in his own regard, right? He's done a lot, and he's built up such a legacy in hip hop. But this is like a big taint for him, Like I think it looks corny to a lot of the hip hop community that he did what he did, especially going after Eminem and like the things that he had said. And when Nail in the Coffin, it's interesting because it was legitimately the nail in the coffin. Like it was over after this. Like he just dismantled him and it was like, why are you even fucking making music, bro? Like, get out of here. Like, you're not even supposed to be here. And there's a bunch of, like, character defamation and just, like, him breaking him down. It's just, it's a fun diss record. I'd go with great on this one.
I think it's a great diss record. Yeah, I think it was super funny to just hear Eminem's, like, careless attitude where it's like, okay, bro, like, if you're really in the streets and you're not actually just sitting behind your desk at the store, it's like, go kill someone, bro. Like, go fucking go do the shit that you're claiming that you're in the realms of doing. Like, go slap my mother if that's what you want to do. Like, he's saying just the wildest of shit, and it was super insulting. It's a great track. But next up, "Hit 'Em Up" by Tupac.
Perfect rating.
This was like, it felt like more of like a death threat than it did a diss song for how
So much
brutal
anger and so much
offensive
hatred.
it was.
Absolutely. Starting off with, like, I fucked your baby mama, or like, I fucked your bitch. Like, that's crazy. That's some crazy shit. And in this situation, the reason why it's different than Super Ugly is because, like, there was evidence behind this, and, like, this was scathing information, And it was, like, one of the first times that this was really used in, like, a diss track, at least an iconic diss track itself. And, just calls him every name under the sun. Talks about how, like, he used to give Biggie a place to sleep when he was younger, when he was coming up in the industry, just telling him, like, dude, like, why are we doing this for? Like, you're not even on my level, and dismantles him. This is definitely, like, one of the best diss tracks of all time.
Easily, and the quotables, I mean, you claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife, and then even looking at the shit he was saying to Prodigy, like, that was dark, bro. Like, that was probably, at the time, one of the darkest disses you could have heard, because, like, he attacked the man's illness. Like, he attacked,
His
like,
sickle
Prodigy's sickle cell anemia. Like, that was, like, really fucked up. And then even, like, motherfucker, my 44, make sure your kids don't grow. Like, really, like, he went in, bro. And I feel like this was the pinnacle of the East Coast West Coast beef.
This is the song that defines it, for sure.
And even in terms of just track presence, like the animosity, the hatred, all of it was conveyed beautifully through his delivery. That was just so invigorating.
And it's a West Coast banger as well.
How do you feel about Outlaws being on the song? Like, I feel like no one ever talks about that too much.
I'm all worried.
It didn't really matter.
This is sort of like the Not Like Us. Well, no, not like Us is like, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, this was like a West Coast banger, a West Coast anthem. Same thing with Not Like Us. Like, it plays on that same level for sure. Obviously, Hit 'Em Up is a better diss track. I'm not saying that, but
also
I put it in like in context for you guys.
Best music video we've ever seen for a diss track too.
For sure.
With the Biggie and Diddy lookalikes, that whole thing.
Crazy.
Ripping off Lil Kim's wig, just wild shit. But next up, Drop a Gem on Him by Mobb Deep came out in 1996, and this was a response to Hit 'Em Up. And this was interesting because it actually got released a few weeks before Tupac had passed away, and then out of respect, after he did pass, they took it off radio.
Yeah, they ended up taking it down.
And this is...
Do you think if it would have had the longevity to be able to grow and to be able to sit with people, and obviously, you know, Tupac wouldn't have passed away that night, do you think that people would have looked at this song a bit deeper if I could maybe say that, and would have been like, oh, well, shit, I'm living with this song now, and this is a lyrical, like, slay, bro. This is really hard, bro.
It really is. I think that, like... 100%. I think it lost a lot of its steam because it did get removed from radio, and it did not get as much attention because all the attention went towards, obviously, you know, Tupac passing away.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, this song, like, just looking at it in hindsight, it excites me for what could have been between a lyrical sparring between Drop a Gem on Him, between Mobb Deep and Tupac, of course. But I mean, it's a bit eerie to listen to it now because there are, like, death threats within this track.
Yeah.
So it's very eerie listening to it now, but there's lines like who shot you? I bet you were screaming like an opera, like crazy savagery, bro.
It is. Amazing song.
Amazing song, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
But all right, next up we have Long Kiss Goodnight by Biggie. And a lot of people might be wondering, well, why didn't you guys include Kick in the Door? Well, I mean, that was a lot of subliminals. Then you could also talk about, like, Who Shot Ya?
But that was apparently like some just fair play and like some shit with LL Cool J.
Wasn't even about Tupac.
And it wasn't even about Tupac. And there's actually interviews behind that if you guys want to go see it and go do the research. And apparently that whole Who Shot Ya thing was actually just lyrical exercise. They were both in on it. Because there was another track from LL Cool J that I dropped referencing Who Shot. Anyways, there's a whole thing if you guys want to go check it out online. And I think there's an Angie Martinez interview that does a really good breakdown of it. But regardless, Long Kiss Goodnight is the only song that we get from Biggie at this point that is an actual direct threat towards Tupac Shakur. How do you feel about it, looking at, let's say, in the context of this tier list?
It was interesting just because of how much his approach differed from Tupac's, you know? Like, this was, like, less disrespectful. It was more lyrically dense. Like, he really barred up and, like, attacked him in ways. And I think that it's interesting just because, again, from a lyrical, like, mastery standpoint, Long Kiss Goodnight is more impressive than Hit 'Em Up, but it had nowhere near the impact
of
a Hit 'Em Up.
But that goes back to the point that we were making not too long ago about diss tracks having, like, you need that aggression. You need to see that dog come out. You know what I'm trying to say? And I feel like this song was missing that. You could have the best pen all you want, but at the end of the day, there's certain things that are not going to hit the way that they should if that aggression, that tonality, and that information is not there and it's not present within the song itself.
We can go with a great rating for this one. I feel like it
is a great
range,
song, though, but...
Yeah, 100%. It's a great fucking song. The RZA beat, bro, it's heat.
For sure.
It is heat.
Okay.
Great rating. Next up.
No Vaseline by Ice Cube. One of my personal favorite diss songs of all time. Came out in the early 90s, and this was a direct diss towards Jerry Heller and, of course, NWA at the time. At the time, Ice Cube had left because of financial disputes, and obviously there was a lot of bad blood, and then there was the whole MTV situation. There was just a lot of different things going on, and it was big tension. So Ice Cube decides to drop one of the most iconic diss tracks of all time with No Vaseline, and it's dismantling everyone within the song itself. There was so much embarrassment. There was nothing to come back from when it came to No Vaseline, and I feel like it is a perfect diss song. It's
terrific.
Definitely, yeah.
It's terrific.
It's a perfect diss song.
It is perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
mean, I think that it taught groups a valuable lesson of, like, don't diss your head writer. because he's gonna be someone that's gonna be able to
Well,
dismantle.
that
all
was
of
also
you.
an angle in the song itself. It's like, how the fuck you guys like doing this to me when I'm writing all your shit and I'm literally the heart and soul of this group? And lo and behold, like I'm sorry, Appetite for Destruction is nowhere near, let's say, like, you know, some of the stuff that they were releasing before with Straight Outta Compton. So it's a completely different ballgame, in my opinion.
It also aged so well because when you look at it, a year later, what happens? Dr. Dre leaves, and shortly after, NWA disbands as a group. Like, this was a song that was viewed as being like a critical focal point within their breakup. And not only that, but like, I love how he dedicated certain verses to certain rappers. Like, you have like a verse dedicated for Dre, a verse dedicated for Easy, and there's even a line on here, "Ayo, Dre, stick to producing," which made me think, like, did Drake get some influence from that for the whole Metro line?
That'd have been cool.
Made me think about that. But yeah, I also love the funk sample on the production side of things. Perfect diss track without a doubt. But next up, we have "Fuck with Dre Day" by Dr. Dre featuring Snoop Dogg. Came out 2 years after No Vaseline. And this is a diss track towards Eazy-E primarily, and also Tim Dog and Luke Skywalker. I'll be honest, like, the song's dope just because, you know, you have Dre and Snoop doing their whole call and response thing.
West
Very
Coast
smooth,
classic for sure.
But I mean, ultimately,
No, we're not going the good rating with this one.
what do you want to do?
It's a great rating for sure. It's
Yeah.
an iconic diss track. Come on.
It's iconic, but I feel like I enjoy it more as a song. Like, I don't like view it and like perceive it as like, oh wow, this is a crazy skating diss track. It's just more like
well,
it's
he's
a
calling
vibe,
Easy
you know?
like a buster and stuff like that. Like,
That's-
there's nothing too.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
that's what
Like, it's very like, it's a bit soft as a diss track, a little bit.
It's a great song though.
Yeah, I know, but like that's why we have to like find the middle ground of like the music itself and then like how it serves as like a diss
But you
track.
see, in this situation though, it is one of the most iconic and most remembered diss songs of all time.
But when you look at the response that came to it,
For sure, but that's gonna be a whole other conversation after we finish this off. I'd go great.
I would go with a good rating in terms of like the context of a battle. But if you really want to go great, we could go great.
I would go great with it. Yeah, if we're putting Long Kiss Goodnight there, it's the same situation with this one, in my opinion. All right. Real motherfucking G's.
The response to "Fuck with Dre Day," yeah,
Amazing rating for sure.
amazing rating. It's crazy just because of how much power he had over Dre at the time. Where, you know, within the contract, like, it stipulated that he had to get percentages of Dre's solo work, and he ended up getting paid off of the Chronic, and to be able to like show that dominance over your opponent within a diss track.
It's crazy. It's an angle that very few are able to take.
Yeah,
It's almost like I'm getting paid off the diss track that you released towards me, which is fucking crazy.
pretty wild,
It's
bro.
crazy to think about. And that's like real motherfucking G's. Like, it's like, no, like, you have to understand that there's levels to this shit and that we move different over here. That you're still under me as far as like this business and record label shit goes. It's one of the craziest angles I've ever seen.
Also, when it
from a
comes to
rapper
just
take.
like MC to MC, like I feel like Eazy always had more skills than a Dr. Dre to begin with.
Well, he
so.
has much better mic presence, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
One of the best MCs of all time when it comes to mic presence and when it comes to that dominant force. Just his voice alone, like, it's so menacing. I would go with amazing. It's definitely
amazing rating.
Amazing district.
One of the best performances of his career to me. But next up, we have, here we go, The Story of Adidon by Pusha T, 2018. This was the moment where Drake's character got assassinated for the first time before our very eyes. This is a perfect song. There's not a
It is a
single
perfect
word
song.
that's wasted. There's no filler. I don't want to say that this makes any of Kendrick's disses less effective, but I will say that I don't think anyone will ever be able to roast Drake as well as Pusha T did on this track.
That's like the Joker. He is the Joker.
Yeah, he is the Joker on
He,
this
he,
song.
he lit up everything in fire. He decided to fuck around and drop a nuke. And that type of nuke, okay, before this, was there a bigger nuke? Do you think there was a bigger nuke in hip hop?
I mean, you could argue the Faith Evans thing that Tupac brought to light, or like the whole Carmen thing that Jay-Z brought to light on Super Ugly, but in terms of like shock value, no one saw this coming.
Especially with the type of level that Drake was at in 2018. It's really that level in the story of OJ, his production being in back. No, for sure, perfect.
But I will say this, I don't think Pusha, because there's this narrative that like Pusha won just because he was privy to the information, but to me, it's what he did with that information. It's how
and the way that he painted it.
It's how he spurred the narrative of like drug dealing aside, ghostwriting aside, let's have a heart to heart about your pride. Like, and then he went into like dissect who Drake was at his core, and it made a lot of people view Drake differently. Ultimately, a perfect diss track. The quotables: "You were hiding a child, let that boy come home." "Deadbeat motherfucker playing border patrol."
Stupid stuff.
Even though you're multi, I see that your soul don't look alive. What?
That's crazy.
Insane, bro.
Insane quotables.
And then he's like laughing and cracking jokes on the outro, like after committing a murder.
And the whole surgical summer thing, you know, it made you scared to be like, what's coming next?
Also, best artwork ever released on a diss track.
Oh, for sure.
Artwork wise, holy shit, bro.
That was crazy. That was a whole different. There had to be PR statements.
Like there was a nuke in the artwork. Forget the music. Nuts.
It was nuts. Absolutely.
But next up, Duppy Freestyle by Drake, sticking to this battle. I have to give Drake a fuck ton of credit for the response time. He literally released this within 24 hours of infrared.
Yeah, and decides to bring Virginia Williams into the conversation and talks about how like how could Kanye be speaking if I wrote some of your best material? And again, it was maybe a mistake here to just go at Kanye. Kanye felt like kind of a ploy in this situation, where it was like, no, you had to focus only on Pusha T if you wanted to get something out that was going to be crazy and hard hitting.
That being said, Pusha did have some bars for like Birdman and Lil Wayne also within his disses. You know, they were a bit more minimal.
Yeah, but it felt like everything stung a lot more towards Drake. Like you knew where Pusha T's attention was. With Duppy Freestyle, he was trying to address everything that came off of Daytona. So I think when you look at the context of everything, well, no, hold on. Yes, this did release after Daytona, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It released the same day as Daytona, technically. But
yeah, it was the same date. But regardless, though, I do feel like it's a good song.
That's it?
I put it in the good category.
Just good?
No, you see, like, when I look at, like, Long Kiss Goodnight...
This is a great diss track at minimum, bro.
No, but we need something in the good category here. It's not on Nail in the Coffin. It's not going
Father
on
had to stretch his hands and get it from me. I pop style for 30 hours and let him repeat. Like, there's
way.
So many great lines on here. The production, the hard-hitting percussion, the elegant jazzy.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
It has to go in the good category.
No, this is a great song, bro. Come on.
No, it has to go in the good
category. You're not making the arguments for it, though.
Of course. I'm telling you what's happening with it. I'm looking at other things that we put onto this tier list. We're doing a tier list. It's a ranking.
But you have to understand
putting it in that category.
Like, you could have multiple songs in one tier, but some of them rank above it.
I understand, but even at that, it got shot down so quick. Like, even as a diss song itself, like, okay, you had the pop style bars, you had the Father Stretch My Hand bars, but what did it really do to Pusha?
He called out his hypocrisy. He said, well, you're calling me out for being a ghostwriter. Look at the guy that you're working for. Ultimately, well,
yeah, come on, bro. Like, it's not that. Even the production itself, like, it's not a great beat. Stop it, Lou.
I'll give you this one, but you have to budge on the next, bro. We gotta compromise.
Lou, but this is clearly a good rating.
This is a great song to me. Duppy Freestyle is a great song.
Yeah, fuck it, then I'll take it here, bro. No way. I'm not letting this go into the great.
So it's going good.
It's going good.
All right, next up, Infrared by Pusha T. Of course, this is what was to me, the best bait track in this this history. Without a doubt. He knew exactly what he was doing.
All right, so where are we putting it? Good or great?
No, this is an amazing song to me.
Oh, yeah, you're going amazing?
This is an amazing song to me, bro. Like him, like comparing Drake's rise to like Trump's presidential win. Like it was so many layers to this, bro. The production was so eerie.
Yeah, the Quentin Miller bars and stuff like that. You know, it was written.
Believe in myself and the Coles and Kendricks, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
It's craziness.
Bro. It is. It is crazy.
It's an amazing track to me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, okay, we'll put it in amazing. Fine, budge there. That's it.
All right.
Get it out of your head now.
Next up, Back Down by 50 Cent.
I love this song.
What a song, bro.
So
what
aggressive,
a
so
song.
high in tempo. So yeah, take us through the history of it, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, targeted toward Ja Rule, of course, and I love just the invincibility and the confidence exuding from 50's pen here. I mean, it just showed that like he wasn't afraid to go at anybody, even if Ja Rule was a huge artist when this came out. And you know, he's hitting him with some hard shots about how like Jay-Z put him on and how DMX made him hot. One of my favorite hooks ever within a rap battle as well.
For sure. Also talking about getting shot 9 times and like that guy's not breathing now. You know, that type of bringing that type of real life situation into a diss battle is so fucking cool. And comparing it to like your next opponent being like, if you really want to do this, look at my last opponent that wasn't even in rap. That guy's not here anymore. You don't want to end up like that guy. That is a crazy fucking threat to send someone.
It is
amazing. Amazing or great?
Yeah, I think amazing is fair. But no, it's not the most scathing diss track, but it's a fucking banger.
We'll go great with it.
You know, great. Okay,
we'll go great with it.
That's fine with me. Next up, we have Checkmate by Jadakiss, and
you feel like this is the most underrated diss track of all time?
Absolutely. The
Because
most
lyrically,
underrated.
he just breaks 50 down completely. You know what bar I love the most on this song actually is the comparison to the Massacre, because it was like your last album was about being shot, but to my own knowledge, you only got shot once. So what's your whole next album about? You know,
And he's like, it's garbage like love songs, and he's like, I use your Massacre CD as like a fucking weed tray.
Absolutely. And he also opens up the song by saying, oh, well, everyone clapped for him. He sold 1 million first week. But then the tone completely shifts and he's just like, fuck you. We're about to get into this. You know,
Never the king of New York. You live in Connecticut. You don't be in the hood. You be in the woods.
For sure.
Bro.
Yeah, there's some
killed
good,
him.
There's some good diss
And
tracks
this
in-
was when like 50 Cent was at the peak and the height of his career.
and
Like,
I don't think anyone disagrees that Jadakiss dismantled him.
this is a perfect diss track to me. This
It
is
is
one of
a
the best
perfect
of
diss
all
track.
time.
For sure.
One of the best of all time.
Yeah, it's going into the
Shout out
perfect
to The Alchemist who produced not only this song but Meet the Grahams. Like, he's been part of some iconic diss tracks.
You go to the Uncle Al if you want a winning diss track.
Yeah.
Go to
You
Uncle
do.
Al.
Absolutely.
All right, The Bridge is Over by BDP. So, you know, who's faking it, who's making it, who's doing what? It's obviously the most like iconic hook in this song history. That's for sure.
It is. It is.
And RKS1 is using KRS1, excuse me, is using a fantastic flow throughout it. One of the most, you know, iconic hip hop flows of all time, and it actually like ended a big beef in New York. This song kind of deflated everything, and you're probably gonna see this in my list in top 10s.
It's I mean, I'll say this, like, obviously it's one of the most important diss tracks ever just because it's literally a fight for like who's claiming ownership of the
New York.
birthplace of hip hop and the Mecca of New York, like Queensbridge versus fucking the Bronx. I think ultimately, like, when you go through the disses and you go through the bars,
It's very hippity hop.
yeah, it's very 80s style, you know. It's not like crazy, but yeah,
It's very important. It's like the grandfather of this song.
exactly. That's really what it is, and it showed us that like a rap battle could start and conclude and just stay on wax and not
For
really
sure.
get too crazy out there in the street. So I love that it sort of like set the standard for that. Ultimately, though, I mean,
Amazing. I give it an amazing record.
I think amazing is fair.
For sure.
It could even go perfect if you want.
You could probably go perfect with it. No, I'd go
Because
amazing.
I mean, like after this song, like KRS-One's career
just took over.
flourished, where like MC Sean and the Juice Crew kind of like they took a hit after
took a
this,
big
and it
hit
was a
after.
result of the track. But yeah, I think amazing rating is fair just because lyrically it's not too dense.
For sure.
But next up, Back to Back by Drake. Might be a hot take. This is a perfect diss track to me.
It is.
I think that when you're looking at the amazing chess move, him deciding to double up on Meek Mill before he could even respond to Charged Up, when you think of a skating diss track, I mean, it's a club banger, it's catchy, it's got some of the most quotable lines you'll ever find in any diss track ever. And again, Drake was spitting nothing but fucking truths all throughout this track, bro.
He was. He absolutely was. No, I think perfect is the perfect rating for it. You know, like you said, became an anthem. It has like it has like that Not Like Us, Hit 'Em Up sort of feeling to it, to where it became a big song for summer of 2015, and obviously what he did with the song at OVO Fest. It was very interesting too, because he took the standpoint of like, you know, you're the guy that's supposed to be a battle rapper. I'm the guy that's supposed to be a pop star, and I'm still gonna dismantle you. So I give it a perfect rating.
Yeah, I like every portion, every section, every line of this song.
Oh, there's no
nothing
filler,
that-
and it's like we were talking about in a previous conversation. Quotable after quotable after quotable after quotable, like every single line hits, and most of these lines will be remembered forever. But
All
that's
right.
gonna go into the perfect.
Next up, we have Wanna Know by Meek Mill, the response after Charged Up and Back to Back. And this was one of the most underwhelming responses that I could have ever imagined getting.
People were upset because you got a bunch of long pauses between verses. Just, you know, like example, like Funkmaster Flex ended up putting out, I believe it was the Quentin Miller reference
track,
for
yeah.
what was it, for 10 bands?
It was for 10 bands, and then on this song, he played the reference track to Know Yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was interesting is that we had gotten that information already, but Meek Mill was trying to put that back in as an actual recording. He put the actual recording from the radio station, and it was kind of like, look, you see, I told you guys. I'm telling you guys, this guy. It was like, dude, we know, like
We
this.
know.
We got it, all right. We know that this is happening, and people just felt like it was underwhelming. There was certain chances where he was going to be able to make it happen, but he started talking about wraiths. He started talking about his women. He was like, yeah, Drake is super successful, but you know, I look at my wrist and I'm happy. I look at my car, I'm happy. I look at my girl, I'm happy. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, this is not a diss song. It's a bad diss song, bro.
It is a bad diss song, and like he played dirty for no reason, like saying that like he's the type of guy to like go and fuck your sister, and it's like, bro, this is not helping you win the battle, Meek. Like these lines are not doing it,
This
buddy.
is not it, bro.
This is not it. And like again, like a 7-minute drill situation, he goes on to delete it off of SoundCloud.
For how
which
bad the reception was.
that's you accepting the L. Bad
Absolutely.
diss track, and honestly, like we've said this before. If there was another rapper that was privy to the information, it could have been a very different turn of events. But next up, 300 Bars N Runnin by The Game came out in 2005. This is the longest diss track that I'm aware of.
What is it, like 15 minutes?
Close, like 14, like 30 or some
Something
shit like
stupid
that,
like
bro.
that?
Like insane.
It's just
and-
like The Game puts his heart and soul into this. I was reading an interview of what he was thinking while he was actually writing this, and he was like, I put my fucking heart and soul into this. Because there was a huge press conference. I'm not sure if you know the history about this diss song. Jimmy Iovine held a huge fucking press conference to settle the beef between 50 Cent and The Game, and The Game was in complete understanding that, okay, you know, we're good, everything's fine, and then boom, 50 Cent starts dissing him on the radio again. There's just bad tension again. He was like, fuck it, we're going to put it to an end right here. And you end up getting this.
Yeah, going in at 50 in G units for fucking 14 minutes over classic beats like Takeover, like Who Shot Ya, like Shook One's Part 2. Some crazy lines on here like, get him a headband to cover the holes in his head. He a dead man for thinking he can walk through muddy waters like Red Man.
Yeah,
You want peace, so give him the peace. Capiche? Let him rest in peace. From west to east, the flow is just, it's impeccable.
impeccable. Even the breath control throughout the entire song itself. Some of the best rapping I've ever heard on a diss record. Amazing.
Amazing diss
It's
track,
definitely an
without a
amazing
doubt.
diss track.
And yeah, just impressive in the concept of it all. But next up, The Warning by Eminem. This is him dissing Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. After Mariah Carey had dropped the song Obsessed and did a video where there was a lookalike of Eminem. And this was like the title of the track says, a big warning shot. Like, this was Eminem threatening Mariah, saying like, shut the fuck up or else I'm going to leak some shit that you don't want to be exposed. And I mean, ultimately, like it was funny to see Eminem like sort of like throw himself under the bus in certain moments, like on this track about like this premature ejaculation and shit like that, where you're like, I didn't need to know that, Em, but okay.
I think it's a good song.
It's
bro.
a good song. It's a good
I wouldn't
song.
go with anything crazier, to be
Yeah.
honest, especially that it's towards fucking Mariah.
It's true, it was Mariah Carey.
Yeah, like I'm all worried about it. You know, it's crazy. Those people gas this song heavy.
They
though.
do.
People gas this song heavy, and all you gotta say is like, "Bro, look at who was targeted."
Yeah, it's Mariah Carey.
You know,
You
like,
know,
you
who
can literally
cares?
say anything. Anyways, let's
all
go.
right.
Second Round KO by Cannabis. This is one of my personal favorite diss songs of all time. Did you ever watch the music video for this?
I haven't actually seen the video for
Wow,
this.
you
no?
would love it,
I have
bro.
to have to catch
Very
the video.
cinematic. It's like a boxing match, actually, because obviously he's answering back to LL Cool J, who dropped round 1. So this is kind of seeing like KO round 2, lights out. There's nothing here. And what's fire about this is that he's kind of taking the approach of like what Pusha T and Kendrick did in certain situations, where it's like you could be selling more, whatever the case may be, but you're low-key a puss. You know, like there's nothing going on here. Like, stick to your reality TV shows. Like, you can't fuck with me. You know, talking about also stealing his artistry and talking about how he should have never even came at him just because they're in two completely different leagues when it comes to rapping. And in all honesty, Cannabis is a much better fucking rapper
than LL Cool J.
than
yeah.
LL Cool J is.
Bar
So-
for bar for sure. But I think, yeah, man, just like the angle of like 99% of your fans wear heels and like LL having to like use his body to sell records. Like, there was a lot of clever angles. And I think the concept of the song was genius. Like, having Mike Tyson be your hype man and like just the parallels that there are between boxing and battle rap. I thought that really tied in really well together. And yeah, this was definitely the best track within their battle. And it was the knockout punch, like the title says.
Sure. Amazing record.
Amazing record without a doubt. Next up, though, we got two left. We got Control Now by Big Sean featuring Kendrick and Jay Electronica.
So this is interesting. This is going to be the only song on this list where we're focusing in on a verse.
Well,
Because
look at like that. Same thing,
that's
right?
true.
So and Kendrick's involved in both of them. Clearly used the same chess move twice, and
Yes.
it worked in his favor both times. Even looking at the impact of this song, like, this created not only madness within the hip hop genre, but it had like people from New York feeling away because he claimed to be the king of New York, juggling both coasts. It provoked a bunch of responses from a bunch of rappers, and it made us all view Kendrick as this competitive titan who wanted all the smoke. And I loved it because it wasn't about like, oh, I fucking hate this guy and I hate what he stands for. No, it was like, I'm really trying to cement myself, and in order for me to do so, I got to push some people out of the way.
Absolutely. But he also starts off as this, obviously when he goes into like the name drops Mac Miller, J. Cole, Drake, obviously, who he's always wanted to be his main target. There's so many different people in here, but he says, I have love for all of you. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to murder all of you guys. And I'm trying to make sure that your core fans never heard of you guys. And I find that such an interesting approach because you've automatically separated yourself from the entire competition.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in a time where, like, the mixtape era, like, everything was very unified, obviously. Everyone was friends. Everyone was creating together. And everyone was kind of seen as one. After GKMC, people started to see Kendrick kind of in a different league.
He went rogue. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in this situation, he went completely rogue. Funny enough, no one from the West Coast was actually mentioned within the names. Not to my understanding, actually. So,
well, except for Tyler. But yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say, though?
Yeah.
Like, no TDE members, no West Coast legends. Like, there was none of that. So, I found it a perfect chess move. And to be honest with you, it's one of the greatest verses I've ever heard in hip-hop, bro.
Bro, the multiple voices, the tones, the bars. He went in full destruction mode, bro. Like, it was insane. And I just love what it represents. But next up, the last diss track.
We didn't.
Oh, we didn't even rate it. Fuck.
No, hold on before we go.
What do you want to do with this? Because
I could say the verse is perfect, but it's an amazing song.
yeah, I agree
If we
with
were
that.
judging the verse alone, I'd put it perfect. But in the
perfect, but
context of this, it's amazing.
Yeah, amazing as a diss track. Next up, we have Truth by Gucci Mane. And this was, of course, within the battle of Gucci and Jeezy that spanned multiple years. This is up there with Hit 'Em Up as being one of the most savage fucking diss tracks ever.
A lot of people put this in their top 5 diss tracks of all time because of what he does here. And you know what? I'll do this out of respect for everyone. Like, just go view it on Genius. But it's fucked. It is absolutely fucked what he does here. But at the end of the day, like, this was the perfect question to be asked. How far is too far within hip-hop diss battles? So that's a question for another day. But I don't want to go too much in the content matter because it's none of my business, and like that shit's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
like, that's out of our realm.
Criminal cases involved with this. It's pretty fucked. But I will say this: Gucci Mane did a great job of like utilizing real life events to go at Jeezy in a battle sort of format, and the Zaytoven beat is pretty hard too. Much love there, but ultimately, I think it's a great diss track.
It is a great diss track. I think Complex has it in their top 10 diss tracks.
A lot of people have it high up, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think great is a great rating.
But yeah, we're not going to spoil...
I want you guys to listen to it.
Experience it if you haven't.
It's like a Dance with the Devil sort of situation for a lot of hip-hop fans, just because you're there and you start reading into it and you're like, whoa, what the fuck is being spoken about here? And I think it definitely brought tensions to a whole different height after Truth was dropped. But guys, how do you feel about our tier list for these diss tracks? Where do we get it right? Where do we get it wrong? And which diss tracks should have we included? Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.